I think there's a new appreciation for design. I think products are getting more and more sophisticated. I mean, behind you, obviously you see all the Apple computers, and that's something that's catapulted computer design on the competitive level. People had to catch up to someone that was thinking, why don't we make something someone uses every day pretty and functional? And people started to take notice in other companies. We're listening more to what customers want, the experiences that they want to have, and that the design of your environment, the design of your day, all those things, your journeys, all matter.
So is it a problem if people think of design as being, just making things beautiful and making them nice to look at? And is that a problem?
We always talk about design as a way of thinking and a way of doing, but most people think that design is only doing, right? And then it gets down to the most banal kind of design, intervention that you could do, which is what's it look like, what's it feel like, what's its shape, what's its surface, what's material, right? All those things are really critical, right? But I think that you really have to shift the dialogue farther upstream to have business leaders understand that design thinking and design methods are actually ways to solve business problems.
The assertion that Fastcompany makes in our design issue is that design is a competitive advantage for all business if it's embraced the right way. And I guess my frustration sometimes is that how difficult it is for me to try to get that message across. And am I wrong?
We need to move away in terms of the way we communicate or we look at design, and it's also part of what's happening. It's becoming a competitive edge, so we are all going to react in all our industries.
We add beauty to what other companies who are already innovative were doing. Now the problem is that then people may think that we just do that. We do cake decoration at the end of the process, while designers actually, they can manage the whole process and adding also that aesthetic factor, that elegance, that make that experience really holistic and really enjoyable.
Gone are the days, in my opinion, where design is this little specialty island, because that proved to be effective as a starting strategy, but the much more effective one now is you really need to integrate and blur the lines between technical community, design community, consumer understanding, what have you.
We all are in complex organizations that have trouble collaborating across organizational boundaries. Every CEO in all of our companies are always talking about how we have to break down the barriers inside the organization to free up the innovative process, to discover the creative juice that's going to take us to the next level. They give that talk pretty well, but they don't do it very well. Except my CEO. So the bottom line is that we're going to have to figure out, as a design problem, what are the ways we can design collaboration in our organizations that elevates design thinking, but maybe doesn't do it frontally, because that may be a way to get past the barrier.
I feel very lucky sitting here and listening to the struggles that so many of you have trying to get design sort of integrated and accepted and driven through the company, because at Maharam, it's not only the products that we're coming out with, but the form that somebody uses in the warehouse has been designed by our in-house graphic designers. And it's very integral, and there's no other way. I don't even think about design thinking as being separate from the way we do our work every day.
You don't have to worry about going native, because the natives are already design oriented, right?
Exactly.
To me, it's a discussion of what's and how's. The what is this linkage of great technology, great design, great experience, creating a great outcome. The how is the fact that design is there at every step of the way. It's not at the end slathering on some superficial lipstick on a proverbial pig, but it's really there along the way, hitting cost targets, hitting production dates, helping the team to balance all these conflicting goals to get to these wonderful outcomes that not only solve a functional need, they solve an emotional need. And to my mind, it's that linkage of what's and how's that each company has to sort of figure out on its own.
If we were having this discussion about design and business, but instead of you sitting here, it was the CEO of your company, I think CEOs are designers. I think they're all designing their companies.
That's interesting.
They don't think of themselves that way, and if we can get them to think of themselves as being designers, maybe.
So you're going to start putting them on the cover as designers?
We'll be going next year into our 5th or 6th year of delivering a design curriculum, introducing those aspects of design thinking we think are most salient for high potential leaders to practice themselves. Specifically, we're actually focusing now on problem framing. We use the how might we sentence construct. We force the teams, and this is new for most of them, to brainstorm through that and to determine how narrowly or broadly their framing drives their thinking. Because ultimately, as leaders, they have to make decisions about who to staff on projects, how to take the hill, whether or not to engage a design group.
But you cannot innovate unless you have innovative people. And you cannot keep innovative people unless they're inspired every day. The corporation hungers for a kind of naive voice because the company can really think itself out of innovation very easily. And it needs, in this competitive world, to create space for us to really consider all the possibilities. There is no voice better for a company to sell the future than design. The people responsible for invention.
If you do it right, you're creating environments not only for the people working there to be able to innovate and create, but also the communities around them to be able to innovate and create as part of that entire process or environment. And that brings people like the companies that you work for to specific places to innovate and to be in places where those sorts of things are happening.
Earlier this year, we went out and polled business leaders around the globe in 20 countries, and we asked them how do they see the future of innovation and what are the keys to success. They all said they recognize the role of the creative individual, and they realize that they don't embrace that in their organization, and they need to. Our problems are too big, they're too complicated. The environment, healthcare, transportation, whatever it is in your industry, you can't do it alone. Big companies need to embrace startups, academics, governments, more kind of partnerships and collaboration. Profit on its own isn't sustainable, it has to have a purpose. So when you hear that, and it was Saudi Arabia to Japan, it's so exciting. I mean, they're bringing in designers to help them in hospitals and airlines. And so I do think that business, especially in some of these emerging markets, you're starting to see design come into the mix in a way that I find quite delightful.